Hi folks, Darryl Legacy here, Instructional Designer for Hack. Today, we're going to talk about how to make sure you're using colors that are accessible for all your students. Using color can help brighten your documents or your D2L course and get students to be more engaged. However, you need to be thoughtful about which colors you use and how you use them. Almost 5% of people have some form of color blindness, so there's a good chance that some of your students will have limitations in their ability to distinguish different colors. This doesn't mean you should never use any color, even red and green. But it does mean you need to make sure there is sufficient color contrast, and to make sure meaning isn't being conveyed solely by a change in color. This means that you shouldn't indicate a word or sentence is important just by changing its color. If a student can't easily see the color red, making a word red won't mean anything to them. That's the reason hyperlinks are automatically both underlined and a different color. On that note, since underlining usually indicates something is a link, you should avoid it for any text that isn't a link. As for color, most of us have probably experienced a situation where the contrast between the text and the background was bad. It could be yellow text on a white background, or it could be gray text on a black background, or even blue text on a red background. But you may not know that there's an actual number value that you can check to see if your text and background have enough contrast. The World Wide Web Consortium develops web standards for the internet, like HTML. They're also responsible for creating the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, which help ensure websites meet certain accessibility standards. The current standards require a contrast ratio of 4.5 or higher between your text and the background. Determining whether your text meets that requirement isn't something we can do in our head, so we need a tool to check it for us. The website Webaimorg has just such a tool. If you go to www.webaim.org/resources/contrast checker, you can see if your combinations meet the standards. AAA is the gold standard, but aiming to pass AA for normal text is a good goal. This site requires you to know the hex code of your background and foreground colors, which isn't always easy to find. Fortunately, both Word and D2L have built-in accessibility checkers to help determine if your document's accessible. In most versions of Word, click on the Review tab and you will see the Check Accessibility button in the ribbon. Click it and it will check your document for the most common accessibility issues. If your version doesn't show that button in the Review tab, click on the File tab instead. Where it says Inspect Document, click on Check for Issues and Check Accessibility. It isn't perfect, but we'll typically find errors with color contrast, heading order, and too many spaces after text. It won't usually identify things like using only color to convey meaning, so you will still want to manually check your document. Many Office programs have this accessibility checker, including PowerPoint and Excel. D2L also has its own accessibility checker. To use it, go to your D2L course. Almost every place where you can add text has this tool, such as a news item, the instructions to a quiz, and even when you send an email from the class list. Let's look at it when we create a file in the Content section. You'll see several buttons in the lower right part of the text box. The A with a check mark is the spell checker, and the icon of an eye with a check mark is the accessibility checker. Let's write a sentence and then make it yellow. It's very hard to read, but let's see what the accessibility checker says. Click the eye icon. It highlights our sentence and points out that it doesn't meet the color contrast minimums. If you click on the question mark there, it will open a new page that helps explain the issue in more detail. Let's try a different color like dark blue. Run the accessibility checker again, and you'll see that it now passes. Remember that it won't find every issue, but it's a great start. Try to get in the habit of clicking the accessibility checker anytime you use the text box. It only takes a second, and it can help you avoid the biggest accessibility problems. If you have questions, contact one of us in the CDI team.